This brings us to one of my absolute favorite parts of Atomic Habits and your research. This changed my entire mindset and honestly changed the type of person I am. And it's the difference between setting goals versus focusing on systems. And so I want to read to you from this section titled Forget About Goals, Focus on Systems Instead. And you write, for many years, this was how I approached my habits. Each one was a goal to be reached. I set goals for the grades I wanted to get in school, for the weights I wanted to lift in the gym, for the profits I wanted to earn in business. I succeeded at a few, but I failed at a lot of them. The results had very little to do with the goals I set and nearly everything to do with the systems I followed. What's the difference between systems and goals? It's a distinction I first learned from Scott Adams, a cartoonist behind the Dilbert comic. Goals are about the results you want to achieve. Systems are about the processes that lead to those results. And you write about this, just one example that made so much sense. If you're a coach, your goal might be to win a championship, but your system is the way you recruit players, manage your assistant coaches, and conduct practice. And you pose this interesting question. What if you completely ignored your goals and you focused on your system? And I'd love to unpack this because I do think that this is where I got things wrong for so long. I was very focused on defining goals, and I spent little to no time really looking at the systems that create progress toward those goals. Can you unpack this for us?
I was like that too. I think my nature is I'm naturally very goal oriented and outcome oriented. And, we all want better results, right? So I don't think goals are ever going to be like a zero in your life and you're never going to think about them. It's just so natural to focus on them.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to encourage here is to focus on the other side of the equation, which is the daily habits that you are following. If I was going to put a little finer point on the language there, what do I mean by goal and system?
Yes.
Your goal is your desired outcome, the target, the thing you're shooting for. What is your system? It's the collection of daily habits that you follow. And if there is ever a gap between your goal and your system, if there's ever a gap between your desired outcome and your daily habits will always win. I mean, almost by definition, your current habits are perfectly designed to deliver your current results. Whatever habits you've been following for the last 6 months or year or 2 years, it's carried you almost inevitably to the outcomes that you have right now. So where I've kind of come down on this after thinking about it for a little while is goals are good for clarity. They're good for setting a sense of direction, get everybody rowing the boat in the same direction. They can be good for filtering. So if somebody comes to you with an opportunity and they say, hey, do you want to do this? You can run it through your list of goals and say, well, does this get me closer to what I want or not? Maybe it makes it easier to say yes or no to that. But the vast majority of your time should be spent focused on building a better system. Goals are good for people who care about winning once. Systems are best for people who care about winning repeatedly. If you really want to make progress and make it again and again, if you want to get high performance and keep the performance high, you need some set of systems, some collection of daily habits to keep you up there. The other interesting thing that I realized is that the winners and the losers often have the same goals. If you have a job opening and 100 people apply, presumably every candidate has the goal of getting the job. The goal is not the thing that determines the outcome. It's presentation skills in the interview, who they know at the company, education, experience, like all sorts of things, right? Or, at the Olympics, presumably every athlete who's competing has the goal of winning the gold medal. The goal is not the thing that determines the outcome. Again, it's genetic ability, talent, coaching, strategy, how much sleep they got the night before, like all sorts of factors.